May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you be at peace. Amen.
Welcome to our third week of Compassion Camp. We are now at the halfway point of journeying together this summer to understand what it means to change the world in loving kindness. As we get ready to jump into today's lesson, let's make sure that we are feeling the power of loving kindness by doing our chant together. Let's do it. Loving kindness. Loving kindness. Now that we are powered up in loving kindness, let's dive into today's lesson. This week, we are thinking about what it means to show loving kindness to our neighbors. Now, we already know that when we show compassion, that it means we see someone's hurt. We understand that feeling that they are feeling because we have felt hurts ourselves. And we do whatever we can to ease their hurt. We can show compassion to the people we encounter, even if we do not live in the same way or live near them. There may be walls between us and our neighbors. There may be hurt feelings between friends or family. But we can find ways to cross those barriers to show compassion to one another. Now you might be wondering, what exactly does it mean to cross walls or barriers for us? Well, let's use our imagination for a moment. Let's take a moment to look at this map. On this map, you will notice that there are two towns, and these two towns are separated by a river. Let's pretend that we are all firefighters. Each town has their very own fire department, and both fire departments have resources. Town A has one new truck, new fire helmets, and tough fire boots, while Town B has two older trucks, new fire coats, axes, and even a dog. The stations serve the neighborhoods around them, and both stations try to get to fires as quickly as they can. Town A firefighters usually do not go to Town B to fight fires, and Town B firefighters usually do not fight fires in Town A. But every once in a while, there is a fire that gets too big for one station to handle. As the firefighters show up with their truck, hoses, and new equipment, the fire keeps growing. If the other fire station calls, what will they do? How will they respond? Will they cross the barrier of their neighborhood? Firefighters have agreements with neighborhoods, cities, and even states that connect them to one another when there is an emergency. Our firefighters will cross the boundary to help out another neighborhood firefighter, reminding us of what it means to help our neighbors. We are going to think about what it means to cross bridges. Today, we will hear a story that Jesus told about neighbors who were separated by some barriers. Jesus told simple stories sometimes to teach the people important things about life in God's kingdom. I've invited a few of my friends once again to help me tell this story. So let's listen in and hear what God has to tell us.
Someone who had studied all God's laws came to Jesus with a question.
Teacher,
He said,
what do I need to do to know the fullness of life forever?
Jesus answered the question with another question.
You've studied, right? What have you learned? What do the books say?
And the man answered,
They say to love with all that we have and all that we are. To love God with our hearts, our souls, our strength, with all our thoughts and all our wondering. And to love our neighbors with the same kind of care that we show to ourselves.
That's it.
Jesus told him.
Love like that and you'll know the fullest life imaginable.
But wait,
The man said, not ready to be done with the conversation.
who counts as my neighbor?
To answer his question, Jesus told him a story.
A traveler was on his way from Jerusalem to Jericho when the thieves attacked him. They beat him up, took his clothes, and left him by the side of the road. He was so badly hurt, he might have died. Other people came down that road too and saw him. First came a religious leader, but when he got close enough to see the injured man, he crossed to the other side of the road. Then came another person, someone known for being holy, for following the laws. He also got close enough to see the man's pain, but not too close enough to help. Then a Samaritan came by, a man whom most of the people along that road would have despised and viewed as an enemy because of old troubles between their two communities. But when the Samaritan saw the man in such pain, he felt pained too. He came closer. He treated the man's wounds and wrapped them in bandages. He lifted the man onto his own animal and took him to an inn where he could stay the night. He paid the innkeeper and said, "Take good care of this man. If it costs more than this, I'll pay you the rest when I come back through."
Jesus paused and asked,
So what do you think? Which of these three was a neighbor to the man who was attacked?
The one who showed compassion.
came the man's answer.
You do the same.
Jesus told him.
I hope you enjoyed hearing Jesus' story of the Good Samaritan, told by a few of our friends at Trinity. I now invite you to find today's coloring sheet of the Good Samaritan, to grab your crayons or markers, and to spend just a few moments wondering and imagining about the story with me. As you look at this picture, what comes to mind for you? What do you see happening along the road? Where do you see pain in this illustration? Do you think there is pain that cannot be seen? The man who had studied the law was wondering about the fullness of life forever. Why do you think he was concerned about this? Do you ever wonder what it means to live a full life or a complete life? Why do you think Jesus tells a story instead of answering the question, who counts as my neighbor? Can you remember a time you saw someone hurt or experiencing pain? How did seeing that hurt or pain make you feel? Can you remember a time when you helped ease someone's hurt or pain? I invite you to keep coloring as long as you would like, thinking about those questions or anything else you wonder about that story. As we finish our time together, though, let's have a moment of prayer. Please join me. God of compassion, everyone we meet is a neighbor. Teach us today how we can show compassion to our neighbors, even when we do not live in the same neighborhood, even when we might have to cross barriers or a wall. Be with us this week as we think about what it means to show loving kindness to our neighbor. In your Son's name, amen. Thank you for joining me today to hear our story about a Good Samaritan and what it means to show loving kindness to our neighbor. I invite you to come back and enjoy some of our activities throughout the week that will help us continue thinking about that idea. Peace be with you.